What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle. For those of you who are new to the program, I am CJ Hurt, joined alongside, as always, by Mike Wallace. Mike, how's it going, man?
Hey, man, it's going. We got a lot to get to, man. I'm excited about this show. We're getting closer and closer to kickoff of the HBCU football season in general. And, man, it's just so much, man. I'm so excited about everything that you're going to see and hear from coming from this show, man. So we got to get to it. We're going to get right to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to set the show for you guys, we got a great culture maker, Miss Jourdan Paige. The NBA has an HBCU Fellowship program. Jourdan was one of the participants of that program. She worked right here with the Memphis Grizzlies, so we will catch up with Jourdan and talk to her about that. We'll also hear from star running back out of Alcorn State, Jarveon Howard. We got the BoxToRow All Americans. He's on that, so we'll obviously be talking about BoxToRow All Americans as well. Ken Riley, the Rattler, got his time inducted into the Hall of Fame over the weekend. Yeah, that was over the weekend. So we will talk about that and so much more. But Mike, we had a bunch of videos from SWAC Media Day. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite interviews to do. You know, I got a man crush on Coach Fred McNair, baby. I love me some Coach McNair.
That was great to see, man. That was to see you and Fred McNair finally getting together after everything that we've gone through, building the HBCU Huddle. It was a sight to see, man. That respect was mutual too. it was mutual too, man. So I can't wait to be able to share this with you. CJ, go ahead and set that up.
Let's go through it. Here I am sitting down with my coach, my football coach, Coach Fred McNair. What can I say? I'm speechless right now. I got Coach McNair sitting next to me. Coach, man, love you. My favorite coach in the SWAC. We were talking some beforehand, and I do absolutely love everything that you stand for and what you got going on at Alcorn State. Great to meet you face-to-face. How's the media day treating you so far?
Man, it's great, man. It's always good to be around great coaches and the great young men they bring from their university to come out and be a part of media day and kind of give them a background of what their team going to look like and all that kind of stuff. And I'm enjoying it so far, man. I think Dr. McClellan and his SWAC office does a great job of putting this on with all the media tables and stands and everything out here, man. It's unbelievable. You know, make you feel like this is going to be a premier conference. And that's what Dr. McClellan looking for, man, is this type of atmosphere is for media day.
How many SWAC media days have you done so far? What is this for you? Do you know?
I think about 7.
So from that first SWAC Media Day to today, if I told you that this is what SWAC Media Day would become, if I told you that not only was SWAC Media Day going to become this, but the SWAC conference is going to grow in the ways that it have, that first SWAC Media Day, would you have believed it?
It's been kind of rough to sell that to me, but man, this is unbelievable the way it has grown since my first SWAC Media Day. Didn't have a whole lot of cameras, didn't have a whole lot of TV, and this is what it feels like to be on the platform of a premier conference like the SWAC, man, and just seeing all these people here, man, and getting a chance to mingle around and know them all, and that's the biggest thing, you know. The SWAC office is putting together one of the biggest things I've ever been part of in football life is a media day like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So on the field, we sat down with Jarveon Howard earlier, SWAC newcomer of the year last year. What is it about his game that makes him such an effective rusher?
I tell you what, you should see the way he practices. That carries over into the game. He practices just as hard that he rushes in the game. So that's one thing about him. He's a very respectful young man, and he's got a football IQ of over 1 million probably. He knows the sport. So he want everybody surrounding him to be better. You know, even the running backs at the position, you know, he wants them to push him. You know, that's what helps out a lot, and it makes it so easy on a running back coach like Coach Boots to teach a room like that. When he don't care how many carries he get, he just want to win and make the people around him better.
Every team, even though it's the same program, same head coach, same general system, but every team in college football from year to year is different. What's the difference in this year's version of Alcorn State versus last year and some of the years previous?
You know, the biggest thing is, you know, executing, man, and scoring points is a major deal, and especially in the conference. You have to score points to win, and you always have to stop people from scoring points to win. But the biggest deal is we we went out and made some transitions during the offseason to address some of the positions that we really need to address to make us better this year. And I think that's one thing that we're going to overcome than what we had last year, that some of the guys in the position we didn't have last year.
You seem to me on the outside looking in, first time meeting you, Coach, seem like you eat, breathe, drink, sleep football. But take football away. How do you like to spend your time? What are some of the other things outside of the football field that you like to do to kind of unwind and hang out?
Well, I used to say fish, but my brother, they do all the fishing for me, so and all that kind of stuff. But football is me, and I take the time out to go out and paint my own football practice fields. I got 2.5 practice fields out to paint during the course of a year. Each and every day, that's my kickback and relaxation time, and I can think about things I need to do to make this team better, to make these kids do better in classes, and and develop a coaching staff. There's always coaches leaving and going. It's a revolving door. Even now with the transfer portal, you got to think about, if this kid leaves, what we're going to do. Will we go to the transfer portal, or rely on the recruiting season to come around? But the coach does a real good job of communicating with me in terms of what they really need, and I try to make it my best to get them to provide them what they need to be successful, because these coaches want things and they need stuff, and as a head coach, that is your job. You're a provider, and that's one of the things that we mentor the young men. We provide for them and help them be better young men when they leave Alcorn State.
Coach, thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate it. Take care. Tried to get Coach Fred McNair to talk about something outside of football, get a little bit more of that McNair personality. My man hit me with, I like to paint my football lines. I got a couple football fields I'm responsible for. Mike, what are your thoughts about Coach McNair and Alcorn State this year going into the football season?
Consistency, CJ. It's just all about consistency when you talk about Alcorn State. I mean, they've won 5 straight division titles up until a couple seasons ago.
Until 2021 when they came back.
2021, yeah. And they were just in the Celebration Bowl, lost to North Carolina A&T in a late play, right, at the goal line. And, these guys, Fred McNair is, and we talked to him right after, you guys got up from the table, just about how he's now the grandfather of the SWAC coaching.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy. He's the longest tenured coach there after 9 years or whatever. And they're there every single year. So for them to be picked to finish second in the SWAC West, right behind Southern, means that they're going to be expected to be there again. And they have the horses, the workhorses to do it. I love the man, as a coach. He stands for the right things. And he's not a guy that's trying to run away and get to the next level. He knows where his bread is buttered, and he loves being down there at Alcorn State, man. And that says a lot about who he is and what he's been through.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of those players for Alcorn State that is set to have a big year. Jarveon Howard is a preseason, not just SWAC all conference member, but he is also a preseason selection on the BoxToRow All American list as well. We got that last week when we were off. And when you take a look at it here, Mike, I just want to hit you with a couple of things real quick. North Carolina Central led the way with All Americans with 5 of them. Florida A&M not too far behind with 4. We've got the offense up right here. It's Davius Richard, the star quarterback out of North Carolina Central. You got Jada Byers, the stud D2 running back from Virginia Union. Jarveon Howard, like I said, Alcorn State star running back. Then you got Jalen Gross from Florida A&M, Cameron Coven from Florida A&M. Both of those two along the offensive line. You got Torricelli Simpkins the third. What a name. North Carolina Central stud offensive lineman, as well as Tariq Stewart, North Carolina A&T. Jonathan Williams, Alabama A&M offensive lineman. Tight end DJ Stevens, Jackson State. Devin Smith, North Carolina Central wide receiver, and Jaquez Jones, the lane wide receiver. Mike, just looking at the offense, anything stands out to you about these All-Americans?
I mean, you have a couple guys there that's been 3 or 4 year starters in the league. And then you also have a couple guys transferring in, as you talked about Howard down there at Alcorn State. So, it all starts and stops with Davion Richard at quarterback. I mean, he's the guy coming in with the mantle of HBCU national champion.
Davis Richard.
Yes, as the HBCU national champion, and North Carolina A&T is basically expected to repeat. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he can hold on to being the best quarterback in HBCU football the way he came into the season as.
So dynamic with his arm and with his leg. So I look forward to seeing that as well. Musa FAMU's quarterback.
Yep.
He edged him out, and I'm interested to see what he does. Not on this All-American list, but FAM's got not one, but 2 offensive linemen. They're going to be strong and stout up front.
Yeah.
They should give him plenty of time to make plays.
Oh, yeah,
there.
no question.
And
no
so
question.
if he's got time to make plays, I look forward to seeing him make those plays. It should be a good year for the Rattlers. On the defensive side of the ball, when we look at the BoxToRow All-Americans, you got Lubert Denellis from Benedict, defensive lineman. You talked to Sonny Anderson. We'll get that interview up not in the coming weeks, from Grambling State, stud defensive lineman for the G-men. You also got Patrick Godbolt, South Carolina State. Elijah Williams from Morgan State. That rounds out your defensive lineman. Then you got Colton Adams from Alabama State. Isaiah Majors from Florida A&M. Jaleel Lenore from Central State. Those 3 are all linebackers. And then in the secondary, Khalil Baker from North Carolina Central. Kenny Gallup from Howard. Karan Pruntney from North Carolina A&T. Kendall Bowler from Florida A&M. And Amari Hill Robinson from Bethune-Cookman rounds out the secondary. Defensively, Mike, anything I asked you if anything stood out on the offensive side. Anything stand out on the defensive side?
Florida A&M is going to be defensively sound this year. I mean, they always have studs. Back-to-back years, they've had guys that ended up on NFL rosters in training camp. That's going to continue to be the case with what they have at linebacker and in the defensive secondary. You know, I'm telling you, man, Coach Willie Simmons, this is his year. This is going to be a phenomenal year for Florida A&M. They come into this with a 9-game winning streak coming into this season. They lost the first 2 games of last year. And it just so happened to be the first most important games, including that loss to Jackson State again. Yeah. But now it's they get a chance to hit the ground running on both sides of the ball, especially when you talk about their defense.
The specialists, because it's, you got to show the specialists love. Punters, field goal kickers, return men. You've got Ryan Duff, punter for Tuskegee. Dyson Roberts from South Carolina State, another punter. You get 2 punters on this list. Place kicker Adrian Olivo, from North Carolina Central. Punt returner Hakeem Ellington from Fort Valley State, real shifty, real fast. You got Keith Jenkins Jr. out of Morgan State. And then you have Hakeem Ellington out of Fort Valley State, and that rounds out your BoxToRow All-Americans. I will say it was good to see some Golden Tigers on that list, Mike. Yeah, lost my mind when I saw Ryan Duff on the list, baby. Shout out to the punter.
You got a great punter.
Let's go!
I've never seen anyone so happy to celebrate 3 and outs.
Let's go. Well, listen, Mike.
You know what I mean? 3 and outs. Bring your punters on the field.
Punters change the field of possession.
They do.
The field of possession, the time of possession, and change field
position.
Field position.
You had 2 of them combined together,
I'm just so excited about my man Ryan, man.
That's good.
Look forward to seeing what them Golden Tigers are going to do on the special teams on punt duty.
Hey, you should hope not to see Ryan. If you see too much of him, that means it's a bad thing for the offense at Tuskegee. So, man, congratulations to all the BoxToRow HBCU preseason All-American team. A lot of talent there and a lot of guys that we're going to be talking about in a few months in terms of trying to make the NFL. So it's going to be another good season for these guys. A lot of talent.
We'll talk about them in a few months. And at SWAC Media Days, we talked to them. One of those All-Americans was Jarveon Howard, the SWAC newcomer of the year. That's what they call it. Not just freshman or rookie of the year. It's the newcomer of the year. Jarveon Howard sat down with us at SWAC Media Days and talked to us about his running style and so much more. It was a great interview. Check it out. We are now joined by Jarveon Howard from Alcorn State, SWAC newcomer of the year. Jarveon, how's everything going, man?
Blessed to be here, man. Just blessed to be above ground, to just do my thing, man. To just to be alive, man.
I love it. I also love all the jewelry you got, man. You got a little piece of chain everywhere now.
Hey, look, man. This overtime stuff right here, man. Hey, I told myself I needed a little gold, man. I started early.
I love it. I like it. So, new SWAC newcomer of the year last year. Trying to build something at Alcorn State. What has the spring been like for you going into the 2023 football season?
Number work, man. I mean, coming off of a season like that, you really have to work. You can't come out and be complacent and get comfortable because, I mean, I was blessed to be in that position. You got other guys that was close in that position that could have been in my position. You had a lot of newcomers coming in, so I'm just blessed to be in that position. And I want to just thank the voters and just thank God for putting me in a position to be in that, to take that role in.
What do you need to do to take your game to the next level?
Work 3 times harder than I did last year. I mean, you got a lot of guys that think just because it happened one year, it's gonna happen again. One time is a happening. 2 times is a charm. You know, you got to come out, you got to do the same thing again. So I just got to keep working like I just don't know what happened the year before.
What do you hope when you play football? What do you hope people say about you after practice, after games, and what do you hope that they say after your time at Alcorn State when you're done playing college ball?
He was that guy. That's the man. That dude the real deal, man. He the real deal, man. I just hope they saying I hope he get close to the sideline and run out of bounds. Because when it's in between them lines, they know it is all go, no breaks.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Who do you model your running style after, and some of the tenacity you play the game with? Who are some of the athletes, some of the football players you model your game after?
You know, I got main guy from my hometown, Walter Payton. So I like Walter, Marshawn, and AP. I mean, those 3 hard physical runners, you know what I mean? And I said if I can get a mixture of those guys inside of me, it's that. But most of the time, I just pray and I be myself.
Jarveon, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, man. Good luck this season.
If Jarveon can be some sort of combination of Walter Payton and Adrian Peterson and Marshawn Lynch, Alcorn State's going to go far and do big things, Mike.
Man, that's a lot of pressure, right? That's a lot of pressure on that guy, man. And really all he has to do is just be what he was capable of being over at Syracuse. I mean, he's coming down from the ACC, coming down a level, but that Alcorn is used to having some really, really quality good backs, 1,000-yard type backs. And he certainly has that kind of pizzazz. He has that explosive ability, and he certainly has the personality. So I think, Coach McNair has a good one right there, and it's going to be interesting to see how he runs against these SWAC defenses.
From SWAC players present to SWAC players past, great accomplishment by Ken Riley getting inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. For those of you who do not know, Ken Riley, nicknamed the Rattler. I'm assuming because he played at Florida A&M.
Yeah.
And so he had a long storied career in the NFL. He was finally inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Mike, when you saw that, what went through your mind? What do you think about Ken Riley's game and why it was important for him to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
65 interceptions, right? I mean, that was top 5 all time in the NFL. What took so long to get that man his flowers in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I was around Ken Riley for 4 or 5 years when I first got into the business in sports media covering Florida A&M. He was the athletic director at the time. He stepped away. He was coaching Florida A&M after his retirement from the Cincinnati Bengals. Came back when he wasn't that successful of a coach. You know, he got him to a couple of MEAC championship games and that kind of thing. But then he moved on, and they asked him to come back and be athletic director. He served his university admirably, and just being around him, he was always disappointed that his name wasn't called year after year. And to see him finally get it after he passes, because he died 3 years ago, and for him to get it posthumously means a lot to his family. It was beautiful seeing his wife, Barbara, and his son, Ken Riley III, up there with his kids. And it's funny because I always used to joke with him. I'm like, you guys are really Barbie and Ken? For real? Like, really Barbie and Ken? And he was like, yeah, he used to get a laugh out of that. But such a consummate professional, a well-respected man, and finally a Hall of Famer. And he's up in the sky, finally proudly smiling down because he deserved it from day one, and now he finally got his flowers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the NFL Hall of Fame did a great tribute video to the Rattler himself. So we'll get to that. And then on the other side, we'll be talking to Jourdan Paige, the NBA HBCU Fellowship Program recipient for the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know why I can't talk today. Let's throw to, I guess I got to throw to it. I'm all discombobulated right now. I don't know what's going on. Let's hear that tribute video to Ken Riley, and then on the other side, like I said, we'll talk to Jourdan Paige.
Ken was a very quiet leader. He wasn't loud or anything, but he did his job. He did his job.
Ken Riley let his play do the talking. A 1969 draft pick of the Bengals, the quarterback from Florida A&M converted to cornerback in the NFL. And for 15 seasons in Cincinnati, the man known as the Rattler terrorized passing attacks around the league.
Fires out in the flat, intercepted by Riley. Down to the 35, the 30, may go all the way, he will.
He was just humble for that. opportunity to play. And no matter what position he was in, he gave it his all. He was loyal to the Bengals, and they was loyal to him. I think they do admire him and appreciate everything he done for the Bengals.
Riley retired in 1983 as the Bengals' all-time franchise leader in career interceptions and postseason picks. But his impact transcended his production in the field.
He was always humble, and he was a God-fearing man, and he wanted to leave a mark.
The Rattler returned to his alma mater as athletic director. Under his leadership, Florida A&M won 35 MEAC championships in 11 different sports, continuing Riley's career-long standard of greatness.
He was my first hero, so I've always known the greatness in him, and now I am happy and honored that finally everyone else sees that as well.
Look at all the things that this one man has done. That's my dad. Whatever he put his mind to, he did it, and that was with everything.
This is closing the circle, because this is what he worked for. You know, he left all his sweat and his energy in every game. He put his best foot forward. And now, you know, we're so proud. We're so proud of him. I only wish that he could have been here by himself to complete his circle. But he's here now. I am honored and privileged to present to you my late husband, Kenneth Riley, for enshrinement into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Can't be quick, can't be tied. Can't be tied. I be in a loop, she be in a group. Brody want a friend, throwing alley-oop. Turn something to nothing, bro, I'm living proof. How can I lose when we the who's? Try that truth, yeah.
Yeah, hold up, park the Rose truck. Why not pull up Lambo car and pop it with the doors up? This got colossal, I got models trying to pay me to tell her the price then went up. It's gonna cost more than the buck. Know that shit gonna be high, it got my name on this chronic. Driving slow now, but this car goes 0 to 60 if I punch it. She wake up and munch it, let me put.
My dad would take me out after on Saturdays when I was like three or four. He'd take me out and then he'd give me an Orange Julius milkshake and I'd head home. And it was like the greatest thing on earth.
One of our locals, Rachel Heck, when I took my daughter out to play with her, she said, make sure you ask your dad to take you for ice cream after every time you play golf.
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Topic number 1, I think, was not so creative.
Okay.
And it is the new color of this eggplant retro foam.
Okay.
I was going to bring the actual original in, and I forgot.
Well, we have a picture of the original, too. If we could go to that second. Okay.
Okay. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back, everybody. HBCU Huddle, CJ Hurt, Mike Wallace. We've got a really, really special guest joining us for our Culture Maker segment this week, Jourdan Paige. She is one of the NBA fellows that we have here. We're working with the Memphis Grizzlies this summer. A little bit about the NBA Fellowship program, NBA HBCU Fellowship program, and then we will get to Jourdan. The NBA HBCU Fellowship Program aims to provide career development opportunities in the business of basketball for undergraduate and graduate students from HBCUs. The fellows, they are selected by NBA teams and the league office to work within a variety of departments, including ticket sales, corporate partnerships, IT, social responsibility, and marketing. The fellowship program is a paid 10-week summer internship program, and it runs from June through August. 2,700 applicants for 60 roles on 30 teams. 48 of those applicants are undergraduate fellows, or 48 of those roles, go to undergraduate fellows. 12 go to graduate fellows. There's an average GPA of 3.45. We got 24 HBCUs represented, and the most represented HBCUs belong to Howard, North Carolina A&T, Spelman, Central State, and Hampton. We've got, like I said, we got Jourdan with us. Jourdan Paige is one of those fellows. She is a business administration major at Morgan State. Jourdan, how's everything going?
Hi, it's going good. Thank you for having me on today.
Great. Jourdan is with us. Like I said, one of 60 fellows. Each team gets 2. What does it feel like to be one of the few HBCU students chosen for the NBA HBCU Fellowship Program?
It feels so great knowing how many people applied to the program, and then knowing that I was one of the select few that was chosen. I just really feel really proud of myself, and like this is probably one of the greatest accomplishments I've had in my life so far.
And one of the things that Jourdan, she's going to be bashful, right? But we had a chance over these 10 weeks to see her rotate through different departments with the Memphis Grizzlies. And this is the first year that the Grizzlies had an intern in this program. And I think the program is a couple of years old, so we were fortunate to finally get on the board. And Jourdan was able to bounce between basketball operations and business operations. But in the midst of all of that, she also had to continue training because she's a scholarship athlete. So Jourdan, tell us a little bit about that side of you, what you do at Morgan State.
So at Morgan State University, I'm going into my senior year. I play volleyball at Morgan State. I'm also the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So that's another thing that I do on campus. So just trying to apply that time management that I have during school, have to apply that to the internship and having a job as well.
So are you a 4-year volleyball player? Did you come in?
I played all 4 years. I've been there since my freshman year.
How's it been?
It's been pretty good so far. Like, even though things were different, like with the pandemic and stuff like that, I still have had a great experience there. Like, I love my HBCU. Love Morgan State, go Bears, but I've had a great time there. Yeah.
One of the things that you have to be able to do, though, is balance, the demands of being an athlete and also taking advantage of an opportunity like this kind of fellowship. Mm-hmm. We were talking the other day at lunch about how you got involved, and if you could just share sort of that journey, because I think one thing that a lot of people who will get a chance to watch this, maybe some students trying to figure out how to get that first internship and how to push through when there's a little bit of adversity. So you had an interesting story about how you came back and got through.
So this program is 2 years old. The first year I found out about it, it was actually through some of the advisors at Morgan State Athletics. So they kind of pushed like sports-related job opportunities to us. So I applied last year. I had got to like maybe the second round of interviews, and I had got denied. So I was really upset about that. But the next year rolled around. I had remembered about this internship, but I was like, I don't know if I'm really apply. Like, it was a long process, this, that, and third. But I was actually walking by in my business school, and there was actually a student at Morgan that had received it the year before, and he was just telling about his experiences and how it went when he was an intern. And I just took it as a sign as I should go ahead and apply to it, and I did, and then I ended up receiving the role, and I'm sitting here now with y'all.
Nice. So you get the NBA HBCU Fellowship spot. You get one of those spots. You're a fellow. Mm-hmm. Do they let you give a list of teams that you're interested in, or do they just say, okay, you're a fellow, now you've got to go to this spot or that spot?
Yeah, so with the process, you have to apply specifically to each position with each team. So like each team will have whatever positions they have available, and then you apply to each one individually. So it kind of makes it a little difficult because then you could only apply for a certain number as well. So
what's the number?
I think we could only apply for 4 if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, so it's not like you just apply for the program. Like you have to really like think about what you can actually get.
And then once you were selected, what was that selection process like? Because the NBA for a few years now has been, intentional about making these connections with HBCUs, promoting opportunities to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when you look at what they're doing with the All-Star Games for HBCU, bringing teams and programs into these internship spaces, that's pretty huge, though. So once you finally got that, hey, I'm in, what was that moment like for you?
The moment was so surreal for me, like just always wanting to have worked in sports, and then I get the opportunity to come directly to a professional NBA team. Like it was a crazy feeling, especially since I didn't get it the year before. It made it like that much sweeter that I had got it this year.
So you get it this year, and that's great. I wonder why were the Grizzlies one of your four? You're in Maryland, so you got the Wizards there. You can go up and down the Eastern Seaboard. So you get Wizards, Celtics, Nets, Knicks, Hornets. Why did you feel like
Hawks,
Hawks,
Heat, Magic?
Let me apply. Go ahead and apply to Memphis. We didn't even mention the glamour markets, the places with the palm trees, the Houston and the LAs. But no, why did you feel like this was a good place to apply?
It's actually really funny. I did apply for definitely the Wizards, all the teams closer to home.
Yeah.
But they had roles where I felt like I could get them, but I wanted something that my resume could definitely get me. So they were roles in like journalism or marketing, and I'm a business administration major. So I'm like, well, my resume, I don't know if I want something more guaranteed. So I was going through, and I had seen the Grizzlies, and my first thought is Ja Morant. Like, I love Ja Morant. Like, I really do. So I had seen that, and then I seen it was business operations, and I was like, well, that kind of goes hand in hand with administration. So it kind of just worked itself out that way.
And you had a chance to work alongside and under remarkable Candace Stewart, right? And just the type of programs that she's involved with at the VP level in her position. You work side by side with a vice president, African-American woman.
Right.
You come into the building and you see a level of diversity, a level of women empowered with key positions. What was that like for you to work, and what were some of the projects that you were able to work on with the Grizzlies in that department?
It was really like surreal and empowering seeing African-American women in such a high position. And there's all throughout the company, there are a bunch of women in high-ranking positions. So it was just really inspiring for me. And then as far as projects I've worked on, Miss Candace is really big on like educating fans about the history of Beale Street. Like, you need to know more about it than just what it is now, like just it being a party street. So she's really big on that. She's really big on like putting into the city of Memphis, like using our platform to kind of bring up the city. So she's really big on local minority businesses, so trying to make sure we shop with them to keep money flowing through Memphis.
And one of the projects you talked about was the Grid Shop Local. What was that like for you to understand and get to know that program?
Just seeing the impact of minority businesses on the city, like just trying to make sure that we have an open platform to help businesses no matter how big or small. So trying to make sure that that program continues throughout the future of the Grizzlies.
What are some of the lessons or things that you learned while doing this fellowship that you're going to take back with you and hold on to for the rest of your career?
Definitely just like a workplace culture. Like, this is really my first internship where it's been in person. So just navigating through an office space, a corporate space.
Is this your first, I guess, job-like thing in an office? I know a lot of young people, myself, I'm thinking about myself specifically. The jobs I had before I got into the 9-to-5 cubicle was always just like movie theater, and you might not know anything about this, but a movie gallery type of situation where I'm just working in rentals and in movie theaters. And the first time I get in the office, it's like, oh, this is how you're supposed to behave. Is this your first time in the office?
Well, I would say it's my first time in an office setting where it was a field where I was really interested in.
Okay.
Like, I've had a virtual internship last year with Deloitte. It's like a really major tax firm, but I'm not really a finance person, so it wasn't really. I mean, it was a great opportunity, but it wasn't really speaking to me. And I've also done an internship with NASA when I was younger. Like, I was probably like 15.
What?
Yeah, thanks to my mom. She made me apply for that. I didn't want to, but it looks great.
You worked with NASA?
I did work with NASA.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like 15. I didn't really understand the importance of having a good resume, which obviously I know now, like that helped me get to where I am now. But that was a great opportunity too. But when I was there, I wasn't really as focused on this could lead me to a career. So now it's like I'm in a different totally headspace. I know that this is leading me to a future career. So just taking advantage of that, and then also being adaptable in different situations. Like when I was coming into the role, I wasn't exactly sure like what specific things I would be doing, but just being able to be adaptable and willing to learn.
One of the things that you talked about before we get you out of here and wrap up is what the NBA does to sort of wrap around the internship and the fellowship. You had a sort of a boot camp training in New York during the NBA finals before the internship, and then there's going to be a sort of a debrief afterwards. Now, your volleyball schedule, you'll be training and getting back to Morgan State for that part of it. But how good of a job, or great of a job did the NBA do having those seminars to prepare that talented class of fellows this year?
They honestly did a great job. Like this fellowship was put on in conjunction with Children's Defense Fund and Fearless Dialogue. So they really made sure to give us a lot of good information, have a lot of good speakers at the orientation, so they could give us just like some tips and tricks into the industry, tell us like having empowering talks with us, like, we're young and we're Black coming into this space. Like, don't be afraid. Like, don't be afraid to look ignorant. Don't be afraid to speak up when it's something that is, something you don't agree with or something that could be different. So I think they honestly did a really great job and then making it like really innovative and like keeping us engaged with it. I think it was a really, really great put on orientation.
Yeah, and you talked about watching the NBA finals, going from Secaucus over to New York to the headquarters.
Yeah, so in the orientation, we stayed in New Jersey, Secaucus, and then we had our orientation at the Secaucus headquarters for, I think it was about a 3-day orientation. And then we took a bus over to New York City, went to the main headquarters, had a tour around there, had dinner. We watched the NBA finals like on a big screen in the middle of their headquarters. So that was a really cool experience. And then we got to take pictures with like the trophy, all that. It was really cool.
All right, Jourdan, before we get out of here, 2 things. First, what's the dream? What is your ideal job? 1. 2, you can go ahead and get your camera out, get your phone out. We're going to let's get a right here. There it is. That's a shot you can get right there. Of us up there, right. Everybody up there right there. Yeah. And then let us know what the dream is, what the job is going to look like, what it's going to be for you.
My dream job is definitely to work in sports, for sure. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly route I want to go into regarding that, but I definitely did enjoy business operations, basketball operations, love it all. I just love being in the industry. But I think one day what I want to do is I definitely want to be involved in youth volleyball. Like, I've played since I was young, so I definitely want to be involved in that, whether it's like I have a club or just being involved in it some way to give back to, especially young African-American girls. Like, it's Black girls are playing more, but just to keep diversifying the sport.
Jourdan, thank you so much. That's Jourdan Paige, the NBA HBCU Fellowship Program recipient, or NBA Fellow for the Memphis Grizzlies, rather. Thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to see where you go in the future. I look forward to it, and please keep in touch. We love to see it.
Thank you so
much. All right, that's a wrap for us. That ends HBCU Huddle. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. For Mike, I'm CJ. We'll talk to you again real soon.